It's so creepy. It's so creepy when it says that. But yeah, so I'm recording this just because there's some people who couldn't make it tonight who might be able to benefit from watching this later on. Maybe yourselves, you might want to review what we did in the session. And also, I mean, you may or may not be aware, this is the first time that I've run a thing like this. So like I'm extremely grateful that you're here for it. But certainly this is something that I'm thinking of doing more of, and I'd really like to see how I can help musicians in this kind of way. So I'm sort of interested in sort of using sort of sharing this with people, some good segments of it with people to sort of see who else could benefit from it, basically. Okay, so if you're all in agreement of that, then we're in a good place. Okay, nice to see your face, Rourke.
Hi.
Yeah, you
Voice crack. Great. Hi.
hey,
Sorry.
cool. All right, yeah. So we're gonna have a look at a couple of tracks, and then hopefully we'll have a bit of time, maybe 10, 15 minutes at the end of our allotted time together. Just sort of for an open kind of session for anyone to sort of say whatever they want and ask whatever they want, whatever sort of like if you haven't had a chance to share what you're working on right now and there's something you want to discuss or like put to all of us or myself, then I'd like to make a little space at the end for that as well. Okay. Does that sound like a plan?
Yep.
Okay. All right. It's definitely a plan. Whether it's a good one, we'll see. We'll see in about 80 minutes time. Okay, so should we just introduce ourselves real quick, just so we know who's in the room and so who we know who we're speaking to? I'd really be grateful for everyone to just sort of like say hello, say who you are, what you do as a musician, and also like if there's anything that's on your mind that you'd really like to get from today's session, that'd be great to hear as well. So if we're all happy to do that, just to simplify things, I might just go down my list of names here, if that's okay. Just Josh, this is Josh.
Hi. I'm Josh, based in North London. I've been making music sort of on and off for a long time, sort of 10, 15 years or so, writing and recording and producing my own stuff, but not kind of not particularly seriously, I suppose. And I'm looking to kind of step it up a notch. I'm currently working full time in a non-music career, and I'm looking to scale that back to give myself probably 2 days a week to really try and give this a bit of a go. So I'm kind of at the beginning of that, I suppose. Got some kind of old experience, sort of know what I'm doing, but also quite rusty, and kind of need a bit of a from the ground up. This is, this is how we do things now, kind of thing, if that makes sense. And yeah, some feedback on my song would be much appreciated.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Okay, yeah, we'll come to your track as track number two in our lineup today, I think.
Cool,
Cheers.
thanks.
Cool. Kane, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kane. Um, I went to a visual and performing arts school, and there I like played piano, and studied music just throughout school. It was only after I left when I kind of started to like adventure, down my own like interests in terms of music and in terms of like writing it, creating it, producing it. So I started to work on my Mac, started to produce a couple songs, write my own music. And now, yeah, I'm like Josh, and I'm sure like most of you here, I'm just expanding on it now and seeing like where I can take it essentially. So everything that I've learned up to now has pretty much just been like uh, off of my own like you know thing. Like I've just kind of taught myself. But yeah, I think having some other perspectives on how to do things would definitely help me grow and just, take my skills to the next level. So I would, I think right now, I think I'm focusing a lot more on how I can like, when it comes to producing and when it comes to working on the computer, like how to make my songs sound a bit more whole and a bit more harmonious and a bit more like just like homogenizing together a bit more and like just sounding a bit more tight. Because I think when I do tend to make things, like I have a lot of ideas, but then channeling them into a coherent piece is not always the easiest task for me. So I might have one element here and another element here, and they might work by themselves okay, but getting them to work together is a challenge that I would like to get better at.
Awesome. That is that's a topic for a future session, I think, entirely. Like just to sort of get arrangements all fitting together. That'd be an amazing thing to explore for
Yeah.
an hour easily. Thanks, man. Awesome. Rourke, hey, Captain Rourke.
Hi. Hi. Um, my name is Rourke. Uh, I've been mixing for about 2.5 years now, only since Nick was teaching me at college. So pretty much everything I've learned is from that guy over there. Thanks. Uh, I'm first and foremost a guitar player. I've been playing about 5.5 years now, and I am now studying at university music and sound production at BIM in London. And I've been recently in a lot of talks with the band that goes to the college about recording a possible EP with them. Uh, and I have Nick, it is still uploading. I have no idea why it's taking so long, but
Sure.
it's the first single that we're working on. And the main thing I want to get out of this is kind of figuring out how to get that tight low end because there's bass, there's kicks, and especially making a full vocal, trying to get all the mainly lower frequency content stuff sounding really tight together. But yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, dude. Great. I've had a listen to the earlier version of this mix, and it's in rude health already. Yeah, great stuff. Cool.
And it is something I recorded myself as well with the band. So everything is recorded by myself.
It's really impressive, Rock. It's really impressive. I hope we get around to it later in the session. Cool.
Yeah.
Ruth.
Hi, yeah. I'm probably on the door and stuff like that. I'm probably one of the least experienced people here as I sort of started 6 months ago, and I've just got a Logic on the iPad, though I am planning to upgrade soon. I'm also probably, am I the only woman?
I think sadly you are. Yeah, there's Catherine was going to be joining us, but couldn't isn't here in the event. So I'm grateful
I'm
for you being here.
as well as I'm 55. So I played sort of music most of my life, but I never really did anything with it. And then when COVID hit, I was in Spain at the time, and we had a lockdown on like the lockdowns you had in the UK. We literally could not leave our house and stuff and things, not even to walk the dog. So it was driving me absolutely crazy. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to start like composing piano music. So I started with that, doing a lot of neoclassical stuff. And so I've done that since COVID, but then this year, like I lost my parents in the last couple of years, and I don't know, I just sat down, and the way that I sort of got over it was writing songs about it. And I was trying to get people to sing my songs, and nobody wanted to do it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to learn to sing. I'm gonna have to learn to record by myself. I mean, I have had like quite experienced producers say, hey, send me the stems and I'll mix that for you. And it sounded absolutely awful. So I've just decided that, I really don't know very much, but I'm just going to have to learn to do it by myself. And that's that.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm privately glad that no one else is singing for you because your voice has got a wonderful texture. I'm really happy that we'll be hearing this.
Thank you. That's a lot of years smoking dedication.
I've paid my dues there. Okay, excellent. Thanks for joining us, Ruth, and also for sending over your track for us to look at today. It's going to be really valuable. Awesome. Cool. Ben. Hey.
Hello, how's it going?
Very good. Very good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm Ben. I'm based in Brighton. I study production and business at BIM Brighton. Um, got a bit of work experience in studios, but I'm writing my own stuff now. Playing the track I have today. I've played all the instruments like guitar, drums, bass. But it's the same thing Rourke was saying. The low end is just a little muddy. So just cleaning that up, getting everything sounding tight.
Cool.
Yeah,
All right.
that's it, man.
Or we could have a whole session on low end at some point then as well. I think that
Sounds
makes
needed, yeah.
yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for joining us, dude.
Of course, man. Thanks.
Who is next? Oh, the names keep moving around. Even. Or is it Evan?
Evan, yes.
Apologies.
Hi, no worries. I'm Evan. I'm studying music technology at Bath Spa. Uh, I mainly write and record folk music at the minute. I don't really have much experience mixing. I've always just got by on it, so I'm trying to kind of tighten everything up and sound better.
Cool.
But yeah.
Okay, so you're making sort of more naturalistic recordings of acoustic instruments with folk music, and then you sort of want to
Yeah.
explore what you can do in mixing with that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to have like a really clean sound. Like I'm good at making a lot of like quite dirty sounding demo recordings and then never using them. But I'm not very good at making like a clean studio recording, so that's kind of my goal.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
Harry.
Hello, I'm Harry. I'm based in London, South London in Brockley. I'm currently studying at Goldsmiths University. I'm doing popular music, so it kind of integrates production and performance and a lot of theory as well. I've recently have been experimenting with a lot of experimental like sound technology and stuff like that. So like no input mixing and analog gear. But I'm mainly a bedroom producer as of the moment, just because studio hours are very, very tough to get at the moment because it's so busy this time of year. So I'm just trying to find a way to make the mixes more professional with the equipment that I have, which is fairly limited at the moment, in my home studio. So yeah, I
Cool.
don't, yeah, thank you very much.
Great. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. That again could be a great whole session. Just how like what to do in a compromised space and with limited gear. How to get the most out of that could be a really good thing to look at. Brainstorming for the future here. So cool. Joel.
Hello, I'm Joel. I'm in my second year studying the Dunmeister course in Guildford, which kind of mixes like physics and maths and computer science and stuff with um, recording engineering. Um, I am very into sound design and um, also sort of experimental stuff, but really just everything. And I'm sort of looking to get into producing through recording engineering kind of thing. Um, Also struggling with low end a bit, so that would be a good session. Um, yeah,
Great.
I
Thank you.
love mixing.
He loves mixing. He's good at mixing, is Joel. Yeah. Thank you, Joel. Lovely. And Louis.
Hello. I'm
Hello.
Louis. I'm in my third year at Bath Spa Uni doing the CMT course. Um, uh, I've been lucky enough to be a part of various freelance work throughout my time here, so I'm sort of deciding now that I'm coming to the end of my course what to commit myself to, and how ambitious or not ambitious to be about it. And yeah, I too suffer with low end sometimes, so I can talk about that.
Low end is the issue.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
yeah.
I mean, have you been to a doctor already then?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. I was just about to say I love your low end, Louis, but that sounds really, really sketchy. But he's got a good learner, this guy. So, all right. So let's listen to some music. I think it'd be good to start with Ruth's track that she's kindly sent over. Ruth, as she mentioned, is very new to producing music and recording herself. Lovely song that she's sent over. I'm going to be playing it from my system over here because she's working on the iPad.
Not my song, it's a cover version.
Oh, is it?
I was challenged to do a cover version because I've never done one.
Okay. You know what? Working on cover versions, Logic has crashed for me over here. That's fun, isn't it? Working on cover versions and sort of exploring, almost sort of mimicking other songs is one of the best ways to learn. Like it
I
gives
often
you.
did it in a totally different style because the original, like, I don't, if the song's great, why do it in the same style? You know, you'll never do it as well. So
Yeah,
that's just a chill version of the original song, which was quite
absolutely,
rocky.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think if you're working on a cover, then you don't have to worry about the music. You can just sort of use that to learn how you're going to produce it and how and get to grips with Logic in a sense. So what I thought we'd do is just listen through the track once, and I'd like to hear from Ruth specifically what is maybe presenting a challenge for her in what she's
This
doing.
all sounds awful and all squashed together. I mean, people are talking about low end. I just want to be able to listen to it without going, yeah, gosh, like that. So
Okay.
that would be good.
Okay, fine. Okay, so I'm going to share it from my system over here. Okay, so I'll just go into, there we go, share sound, share good sound, share. There we go. All right, so can I just check that you can all hear this real quick? Is that coming through okay?
Yep.
Yeah, all good.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to listen through the track. I'm just going to take you through the anatomy of what Ruth sent over real quick, just to sort of break it down so we know what we're looking at. And folks, just can you all just get like a little notepad or something? It can be a paper notepad would be ideal. If you do want to do it on your computer, that's cool, but old school is good too. So while we're listening through, I just want you to sort of note down anything that you think is relevant, that you think you would want to kind of address with it. This is an opportunity for you to kind of like us all to sort of co-mix this in a sense, and all to practice like what we would think about this.
They're going to be writing a lot very quickly.
So yeah, maybe that'd be good. There's some good ears in here. I know that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But also like I want to introduce this as a way of us feeling free to give some constructive feedback as well, because if we're producing music and collaborating with other people, it's really important that we can do that in a way that feels safe and Catherine's here. Maybe I missed that a little while ago. So yeah, let's make some notes on what we're hearing, and also watch the screen, see what you're seeing as well, because there might be some things that are that you think about how this has been set up. The anatomy of this. Hey, Catherine, I'll check in with you in a little bit. Thanks for joining. The anatomy of it, we've got a lead vocal here, which is split over 2 tracks here. I'm just going to use waveform zoom to see that a bit better. Yeah, we've got a lead vocal across these 2 tracks here. We have some doubled harmonies here. We have another doubled harmony here. We have a cello part across 2 channels. We have 3 pianos that are across 2 channels each. And
That's an accident.
It's an accident.
I think so. Is one of those repeated?
What
I
do you
thought there
mean?
was one piano, left and right hand, and then another piano that just added a different.
So well, we've got 3 piano parts. This one, and then this one, and then this one, and they are doubled.
Yeah, that's left hand that I put on stereo, right hand that I put on stereo, because sometimes I like the right hand a bit louder than the left hand. It depends. And then the other one, like, that's another detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let's just have a listen through. It's a lovely song. It's a lovely performance. Ruth's voice is gorgeous. So let's just listen, make some notes, see what we hear. It might be in terms of balance. It might be in terms of texture or stereo or effects or whatever comes to mind. Just make a note of it and let's have a little chat about it at the end. And while we listen, I'm going to like root around in the mixer and just show you what's happening in there. Okay. So here we go. Just full playback.
I can't hear anything.
Me
No,
neither.
I was
I was
waiting
wondering if
to
it was
the
just me.
upset.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was just me.
I was just waiting for somebody else to say it.
Oh, thank you.
You're muted, Nick.
Oh, that's it.
I'm massively mucking this up. Great. Okay. Yeah, no, I forgot about the Logic audio settings. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Did you all just enjoy just a lovely moment of quiet? And
Yeah,
For
I
me,
think everyone
it
didn't want to
came through to
interrupt.
begin with.
I
and
didn't
then
want to
and
say
then it
anything
dropped out.
first.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay. All right. All right. Should be okay now. Here we go.
Cover my eyes. The light falls on her face. Dangerous light. Dangerous colors and shapes. Ferocious desires. Connected and ready to play. Buttoned up tight. Crimson and a Halloween white. She's like the girl in the movie when the Spitfire falls. Like the girl in the picture that he couldn't afford. She's like the girl with a smile in the hospital ward. Like the girl in the novel in the wind on the moor. The meaning of life. A half falls out of place. Cover my eyes. Dangerous colors and shapes. When she moves, cover my eyes. Yeah. She's like the girl on the TV with the red guitar. Like the girl with the dealer at the end of the bar. Like the girl with the smile in the dream in the dark. Like the girl overtaken in the open car. Hey, hey, hey. Have fun.
Lovely. Thank you, Ruth. Beautiful. Okay, so let me just put this out to you folks then. What are you hearing? Let's just get a few ideas as to what you think is relevant here. It could be some good points, could be some things that you're noticing that maybe could be improved. Anything jumping out to you?
Oh, damn. Go on.
Should we do a raised hand thing? Do you want to? Do you know the in React you can use raise hand and then we can sort of form an orderly queue. Lovely. Okay, let's maybe get sort of 4 people to mention something. That's great. That's great. Lovely. Catherine, what are you hearing?
First of all, I'd like to say great track. I like just the amount of layers of instruments that you have. I think what stuck out to me is the vocals probably need a bit of de-essing. You can just add an EQ, bell curve shape, and like swipe around for the annoying frequency, and then just find it and set that on the de-esser. Next, I would probably add some delay and reverb on the lead vocal in the center. I'm not sure if you've panned the backing vocals left and right. I think they're also in the center. So I think it would be nice if they were on the sides. But other than that, are you
slightly because I'm not very good with stereo, so I sort of got the piano spread out all the bottom part, and then I just did the vocals in the top part, you know.
Okay.
I need separating more then.
Yeah. Are you planning to replace the MIDI with actual recorded instruments, or are you going to keep it as MIDI?
Yeah, I'm just going to keep it as MIDI.
Yep. In that case, maybe I'll just add a bit more reverb because it usually like makes things a bit more realistic. Maybe kind of switch the velocity around on different notes, like make it random. But other than that, yeah, that's my feedback.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Catherine.
Well done.
Lovely. Great. Thank you, Catherine. Awesome. Yeah. So, Ruth, I don't know if you've come across a de-esser at this point in your journey.
Yeah.
You have?
I have a problem with that. I think it's the way that I speak or sing. I've actually got, you know, the pop shield. I've actually had to put like more things over it, and I still have a problem with that, you know.
Sing it through a sock?
No, literally, I've got a sock over it as well.
Okay.
But you put too many things on it, it sounds muffled. I've just got to learn to sing with less S's as well. That's part of it as well, you know.
I don't think so. It happens with everyone. Like everyone has, yeah. It's just something that plugins can solve. Honestly, I don't think there's a certain technique, but
it is a regular thing. Yes. So a de-esser, Ruth, what that will do is it's a compressor that's just going to act on the high frequencies that the S's live in. So so it's going to leave the body of the sound untouched, and it's going to leave actually the texture, the brightness of your voice untouched, unless you're saying S sounds. At that point, it's going to compress those, so you can still have your bright sound. You don't have to sing through a sock to make it work, and it will just turn it down when it's when those S's are too loud. I'm just going to quickly demonstrate that because I think it will help. Let's check that. So let's unfreeze that. So it lives in the dynamics section. Can you see this okay, Ruth?
Yeah, I know. I know where it is. I tried to use it once, but I don't think I really looked into how to use it correctly, and it really took a lot out of the voice. You know, it sounded dull and awful. So it's probably just I need to do a tutorial on actually de-essing separately and then have a go with it, maybe.
Sure. I think if you have the principle of it down, that it's going to be a compressor that just deals with the high frequencies. What you're looking for in these meters is some reduction when the S's happen and not the rest of the time. So it's a case of just changing the threshold until so the threshold is like the level above which it's going to bring those levels down. So if I just solo this. And
the light falls on her face, dangerous light.
I actually tend to find that it works better in this mode here. So this is going to be
Dangerous colors and shapes.
so this is going to be taking down all the frequencies above a certain point when the S is happening. You see the reduction is happening. I don't know how quickly the screen refreshes at your end, whether this is a smooth video for you.
What mode did you choose? Sorry, I couldn't see. It's a bit small.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
okay.
Bingo. So yeah, the
Wow.
filter, this is going to mean that it's effectively what that's going to do is it's going to bring a shelf filter on it, which is going to reduce those frequencies when they are loud. That's what a de-esser will do. So if I'm to speak like this, it's going to bring it down at those points there. Okay, that's how a de-esser will work in this mode here. So that could help with that. Cool. Also, Catherine, you made a point about randomizing the velocity of the piano a little bit. This is something that I noticed as well. It could sound a lot more natural if there was more variation in the volume of all these notes. At the moment, it sounds a little bit robotic because the timing, I think, is exactly on the beat. The velocities are exactly the same a lot of the time. So if we sort of look at the MIDI of this, all the velocities are at the same level as each other, and everything's sort of locked in to the beat. So there are some ways, like if you have a piano to play it in, then that can help with that, of course. But there are some ways to sort of cheat this a little bit. Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you this. This is something that probably you might want to see on a replay of this to sort of check it out. But if you just select all the notes here and go to Functions and then MIDI Transform, and then you have this Humanize option here, and this allows you to randomize the timing and the velocity of the MIDI notes. So
Yeah, that's not on the iPad version of Logic. I did, like, I saw a tutorial on that and I thought that's brilliant. But the only option I've got is actually going in and doing them all sort of individually.
right.
It's
Okay.
the
Right.
iPad's missing a few of the functions, you know, like flex time, I think we haven't got as well, and a few
Sure.
bits and bobs. I'm not sure, but it hasn't got that, I don't think, because
Sure.
I took that out specifically.
Okay. Okay.
But I will do that. I'll just be patient and go through and sort of
It could be you could do one repeat of it, and then to make that sound more natural, and then repeat that. For instance, if you were to sort of chop a little bit of it like that, and then I'll just do this to demonstrate, and then loop this. Press the L button, and you can loop that section. So if that was nice and humanized, then you could loop that and make that sort of spread out across. So, awesome. Thank you. Joel, what did you hear?
Hello. Well, staying on the piano.
Yeah.
I felt it was very slightly overcompressed, but I think I'm gonna play devil's advocate and say that actually, especially if humanizing isn't as easily accessible, you could kind of play into the compressed electronic sound, and actually go with a sort of like 90s, this is a sampled piano sound.
So instead of trying to mask it, make it a feature.
Yeah, and I loved the synth, so I was thinking maybe more synth and maybe like, I don't know, drum machine, something to sort of say this is influenced by trip hop, influenced by something that sort of is very proudly electronic.
Do you think it would be better without the cello? Because I listened to it without a cello, and I don't know if it needs a cello, to be honest. So maybe put in more of that synth sound or something. I'm not sure.
I think the synth would be really cool in that line. You could also switch the cello to, because it sounded like a MIDI cello, possibly. I might be wrong, even though it's an audio file.
It is.
Yeah, I can't get a real a real
No,
cello.
no, that's awesome. But if you swapped it to a mellotron, that would sort of also lean into like
Oh,
being artificial.
I've got
Um,
melodrons in my other tracks, the tracks that I've written. I love that sound.
oh, I love it so much.
Yeah.
And like often I find myself reaching for a mellotron over MIDI strings because it's like embracing the unnatural rather than trying to hide it.
And the mellotron flutes as well. They're really cool. I love.
It's so nice.
Yeah. Okay, I might swap that up and see what it sounds like. Thanks. That's really great.
That's a great point. The trouble with some of these MIDI instruments that are replicating natural instruments is they can't do justice to all the inflections that a human player would do. So you have to be very careful when you're writing those parts in order to make it kind of not show that it's too artificial, because you don't have those natural sort of rising and falling dynamics. So yeah, sometimes it can sound a bit more purposeful and natural to go for a less natural sound. Well, I can't make this natural, so let's go with something that's synthetic instead.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Cool. All right, Josh, what are you thinking?
Oh yeah, some of my stuff was, I think, covered by Catherine, sort of vocal related, but I kind of on a similar line. I think I think a lot of things sounded. To start with, I thought the harmonies were really lovely, but again, as Catherine said, could do with they're occupying the same space as the lead, and I think that's slightly true of the whole track. That everything is very near field. And not occupying different space. I think reverb probably help a fair bit with that, but actually, I'll admit to a slight extent, I can hear that needs to happen, but I actually couldn't tell you what you'd need to do to achieve that specifically from that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I can hear it. It's all squashed together and really awful. And I want it all the instruments to be separate with this lovely air between them. Like I hear people, I have no idea, how to achieve that. Yeah, I've tried adding reverb, but there's more things going on there. It just sounds like it's so squashed together.
I think possible. So I think reverb would help a little bit. I think maybe looking at the EQ that the different instruments are they all occupying the same frequency spectrum? There's not a huge amount of frequency range as well, I suppose.
Getting into some lovely territory there, Josh. So yeah, one of the things that we are often focusing on when we're mixing is just making as much separation between the elements as we can. So all the parts are clearly distinguishable from each other. We don't always want to do that, but it's one of the things that is often one of the aims of the game. And so there's lots of ways that we can create differences between the channels. And whatever differences they are, it's going to make it a bit easier for our brains to pick these parts apart from each other. So if something is wide, it's going to be easy for us to hear that separate to something that is narrow and central. If something is dark, then it's going to be very easy for us to hear that against something that's very bright. Also, if something is very flat dynamically, something very sort of thick and sort of constant volume, and then there's something that's very dynamic against it, and it's very easy for us to pick those apart. So it's about creating some differences there. And I think you've made a really good point about there not being there being some opportunities to do that in this mix that we could take. So Catherine was talking about panning out the backing vocals. So the backing vocals are nicely doubled, and we can just create a bit more separation between them by just popping one over to one side and the other further over to the other. So this should straight away create a bit more of a sense of space and three-dimensionality, and make the lead vocals stand out in front a bit more, the backing vocals sit behind a little bit more. So I'll just, I'll play it as it was before for a second, and then I'll just spread them out. Oh no, it's doing something. Freezing. I was having a bit of a fight with this track with freezing stuff earlier on, I must admit, and it's doing it now. Here we go. Stop that. Yes, thank you. Good.
She's like the girl in the movie when the Spitfire falls, like the girl in the picture that he couldn't afford. She's
So very simply, by taking these harmonies, which are very nicely double tracked, two takes, spreading them out like that.
Girl in the movie when the Spitfire falls, like the girl in the picture that he couldn't afford. She's like the girl with a smile in the hospital ward.
Okay, so we're
I
noticing that.
don't like the sound of the harmonies. I like the harmonies, but I do not like the way that they sound. They sound really, I don't know, like thin and tinny and stuff. I don't know.
Bear with me a second now. So just what I'm observing here is we have all the vocals are going into bus 1 here. So everything is going through this first bus here. So that we have a pitch correction, channel EQ, compressor, delay, a console EQ, another compressor, and expander. And something in here is, yeah, there we go. So did you notice when I panned those out, it didn't get wider at that point? So the plugins, they have an option to be either mono or stereo plugins. So at the moment, we're panning these vocals out, but then this plugin is making everything mono again. So if I was to now switch this into stereo, there we go, all of these now.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah,
Massive.
well, that's what this is for.
Important piece of
Really
information.
easy thing to overlook. So now that these are panned out, we should hear a nice wide sound.
She's like the girl in the movie when the Spitfire falls, like the girl in the picture that he couldn't afford. She's like the girl with a smile in the hospital ward.
So there you have those backing vocals are now panned, spread out nice and wide and very separate to the lead vocal. So that's so yeah. Just so when you're going through buses, be mindful that they have the power to turn them into mono signals as well. Now, so very quickly, I want to. So yeah, Louis, let's just hear from you, and then I'm gonna show something with this myself over here before we move on to another track.
Yeah, I was going to talk about most of what's been said already, and just the lead vocal is very dynamic and sort of a bit harsh at points when it gets a bit louder, so it could be a bit more tightly compressed. But then there was a part towards the end that I heard the lower piano, the sort of lower notes on the piano sounded a bit like they were peaking or clipping, or like there was some distortion. I don't know whether it was intentional. If it is, I quite liked it, but if it isn't, it might be something to do with some over compression on the piano bus or even the master bus, because I saw there was like a mastering plugin on it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's the mastering assistant plugin is there, so that's doing something. But no, you're right. You're right, Louis. There is some distortion on the pianos. So I've had a little route around here, and I'm just going to show you how this mix is all sort of laid out at the moment. So all the instruments here are going through bus 4. So Ruth is processing all the instruments through this one bus here. So in terms of getting separation between these elements, this is something that is going to work against you a little bit in this sense, because like everything you're doing in that bus is happening to all of those elements simultaneously, and you're kind of gluing them all together like that. So you're compressing them together, you're EQing them together, and there's opportunities to make differences between these layers which you're not taking. Okay. And indeed, actually, the compressors that you have here, when I was rooting around earlier on, I'm just going to draw your attention to this. There is a distortion setting on the compressors, and I found that these are in soft distortion mode, both of them. So this is what's giving it a sort of crunchy edge. I kind of like it. It's kind of cool and arty and funky. There's definitely some like sort of some kind of sentimental kind of crunchy sound to it that I quite like. But I don't know if that's bad design or not. And certainly it's distorting everything together at the moment. Okay. So you will find that your instruments are gluing together. Okay.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah.
One other thing I noticed is that you have all your vocals going through one bus as well, which there are reasons to do that, certainly. There are really good reasons to do that, but there are certain things that you can't do with buses. So you have a pitch correction plugin on this bus.
Yeah.
Logic's pitch correction plugin is actually pretty cool. It's set up correctly, it can sound really natural. It can be really effective. But if you have a bunch of vocals going through it, it doesn't work on polyphonic voices. So it'll only work on a solo voice. So to make that work, you need to put it on each of the channels separately.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's brilliant. That's brilliant information.
One last thing I want to mention about this, Ruth.
Okay.
So you're embracing, you love double tracking. You love having two of things, panning them out, making a wide, exciting sound. I love it too. You've done it beautifully with these harmonies, and now that we've brought stereo back into what we can do, we've got a lovely wide sound. We've got these you've recorded it twice, and you can see there, these two takes, there are differences between them. Subtle differences. You've sung it really accurately, but like you can see this is the same word, but there's differences in the timing and the tuning. So when you pan that out, it's going to sound wide and exciting because you've got something different coming out of each of the speakers. Okay. So now with the cello, that isn't what's happening. Here, these two tracks are, I believe, the same file.
Yeah.
Which means that when you pan one of them left and one of them right, as you have done, you don't actually create any more width because you're sending the same thing to both speakers. Okay? So if you think stereo works, you've got two speakers or two headphones, and when something's mono in the center, you're basically telling both of those speakers to do the same thing. Okay? Both of them doing exactly the same thing. So what you've done there is you've put the same sound on two channels, and you put one on each side, and you've told them in a slightly more elaborate way to do the same thing. Okay, so to create differences is easy enough. You could take these two channels here, and you could, for instance, put a chorus on one of them, and that will create a difference on one of the sides. And that will create some width. But if you have the same audio going to both speakers, it looks like you're double tracking, but in fact, that's not really what's happening. Okay. So,
brilliant. Thank you.
What I'd suggest with this, the doctor is in. What I'd suggest with this is to really simplify this. Probably start again, Ruth, and get everything just going straight out of the stereo output. So you've got just control over all of this stuff just on the faders. Oh, there goes my pen. And process things individually instead of through groups and buses. Okay, and then that'll give you control over each of these things to give them a different sound from each other, and be more creative with it.
Will do.
There's some great reasons to put things through buses together. It can save a lot of time, and it can be really creative in certain ways. But yeah,
I was just trying to compress it. You know, the vocal says the vocal didn't sound like a karaoke vocal on top of everything. That was, I was trying to do that side chain compression, but I just couldn't work out how to do it. So that was why that happened.
Keep it simple right now, Ruth. I think let's master compression first of all, because sidechain compression has some really, really great uses. But I think to understand compressors in their most basic form is probably the first thing. Yeah. Okay. I'd love to go into some vocal mixing stuff right now, but I'd really like to get onto another track before we so we can listen to some more music. But thank you so much for sharing, Ruth. I know you're really early in your journey, and you've made something lovely. You've by instinct, you've created a gorgeous sound here, and hopefully you'll be able to take it a bit further now. So, thank you. Okay, so Josh, shall we have a listen to your track?
Sure. Yeah.
You have it lined up over there?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Thanks.
Cool. So
coming through now.
So I think probably we'll only have time to go into some detail on Josh's track. We probably won't get around to yours in this session, Rourke. But But yeah, let's go until about 10 to 9 on Josh's. So I will stop sharing.
Oh, I think I've already nicked it.
Have you? I can't see it myself.
Didn't realize. Is it? Can anyone else see it?
Oh, hang on. Oh, well, there we go. Oh, got it. Oh, wow.
Yeah, man.
Zoom is really clever, isn't it?
I'm just gonna quickly run to the toilet.
Run.
I was thinking of doing the same. I'll be back in a second.
Yo, shall we have like a 3-minute break and then start at 1:30?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's just have a little few minutes to a comfort break so we all can listen to everything, okay? Let's start again at 1:30.
Nick, while we're waiting,
Hello, Ben.
hello. I do have a track. I forgot to send it before because I honestly haven't been home that much.
It's okay.
I just sent it to you now. I know we won't get a chance during this call, but if you have a spare 5 minutes, any feedback would be welcomed. It's for my assessment, so it's a bit like I was kind of forced to do something else.
Okay.
A lot of synths in it, which is not what I'm usually about, but it sounds kind of cool.
Are you more of a guitar kind of guy?
Well, it's still got a lot of guitars in it. It's just I had a studio booked, so I played everything and had to play keyboard as well, which I'm not great at. But I've got the audio file and the Logic file. Is there one you'd prefer to have access to?
Just for giving you some feedback on your mix, so the mix down is great. Yeah.
Awesome.
What would be really helpful as well is if I've got the MP3 here.
Yeah, nice.
Do you want to send me like another email just if there's anything specifically that you want to get some thoughts on? Because
Yeah, for sure.
if I can give you some more targeted ideas, that would be probably most helpful for you. So
Yeah, grand. I still got vocals to add, but I'm
cool.
not a great singer, so I'm trying to get someone else to sing.
I look forward to hearing it. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
No
it.
worries. What course are you doing it then?
Production and business. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm on first year. I started a little late. I didn't go. I think I had 4 years in between.
Cool.
But I've done
Hey,
some.
sorry to interrupt. Have you tried
Okay.
Facebook to get singers? There's a lot of there's a web page called one of the pages called Singers Helping Singers. And there's a lot of people. I mean, they do loads of stuff for free, and there's some really talented people there as well. So it's always worth sort of seeing what you can get. There's a lot of people that can record at home and send things over. They've got nice mics and nice setups
For
and
sure,
stuff.
yeah.
It is an option. There's another one as well that I can't remember what I use. It's another page for vocalists looking for work, and a lot of them aren't professional, but they're very good, or maybe they were professional and they're retired and things like that. So
Yeah.
I've got a few friends as well. It depends on the type of music, but I know a lady in Australia that she's actual vocal coach, and she's sort of retired now, but she took early retirement. She's like about 40 or something, but she can just sound like anyone. You say,
Nice.
sound like Shakira, sound like the singer apart, sound like Courtney Love, sound like she's like amazing. And she's just bought herself a nice mic and she's offering to do work on people's things. She's doing all my high harmonies for me.
Can I suggest
So
that you maybe connect with each other in the chat,
Sure, yeah.
and then you can maybe help each other in that way.
I thought people were still on the break.
We are. No,
Very
we're
good,
back
yeah.
now. I'm really glad you mentioned that, because no, honestly, like this, I'd love for us all to come out of this having a little bit more confidence with mixing, but honestly, meeting each other is probably as valuable as anything here, really. So yeah, if you can help each other, that's awesome.
Yeah, no doubt.
Thanks, Ben. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll listen to your track tomorrow, Ben.
Thanks,
Josh,
man.
give us a spin and tell us again, like, is there anything specific that you would particularly appreciate some feedback with?
I think well, everyone was mentioning low end earlier. It's a little. What I'm kind of going for something that's kind of quite heavy or sort of here, but I think it's gone a bit far. It's a bit muddy, so there's that. I think I need to re-record the vocals because they weren't on a great mic. But even sort of despite that, I know, Nick, you've given me some feedback on this before about how I could do some more creative things with it in terms of double tracking, that sort of stuff. But otherwise, I think it all glues together fairly well, but probably needs to come alive a bit more.
Come alive a bit more.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
I like that language. Okay, cool. All right. Do you want to share and let's?
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah. Let's go.
I've been chasing a dream, and all this time thought it was mine. I'm replaying a scene in my mind, wish it was mine.
Oh, that's not what you want. Let's see if it will pick up again.
So what am I made of? Is there a higher life? So what am I? So what am I? So what if I gave up? Is there a higher life? So what am I? So what am I made of? So what if I fall? What if I fall flat on my face from the weight of it all? So what if I fall? Will I look in the mirror at the end of it all?
Melt vertically a bit so we can see what's happening at the bottom.
Yeah.
So what am I made of? Is there a higher life?
Doesn't like me doing things at the same time as it is. I'm also having a total mind blank on the shortcut for
Presuming Command and arrow key.
that's the one. There we go. Got there. Why don't I actually just collapse that a bit? That's a bit better, isn't it?
There you go. Yeah, lovely. Right. And do make some notes, people, on what you're seeing, hearing, more like.
Made of, is there a higher life? So what am I? What am I? So what if I gave up? Is there a higher life? So what am I? What am I? So go ahead, strike me down. I've got nothing left to lose. So go ahead, come at me now. I've got nothing left to prove. So what am I made of? So what am I? So what am I? So what if I gave up? So what am I? So what am I made of? So what am I made of?
Beautiful. Gorgeous. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Do you want to just unshare your screen so we can sort of see everyone? How lovely was that?
Beautiful. It's a brilliant singer.
Gorgeous song. And we got some hands coming up straight away. This is great. Cool. Hey. Okay, so just because we're a little tighter on time than I'd hoped, I'm going to keep this to maximum 3 people to share back, and I have a couple of things to bring in as well. But Kane, yeah, what are you saying?
Hello. Okay, I'm still figuring out the commands for Zoom. Like I never know how to unmute myself. But that was a very beautiful song. Listening experience, like for me, it I had like there was nothing that I would really add on to that. But like the only thing that I would potentially explore is the message is very like uplifting, and it's very, it's quite like it's awesome in the sense where it's very, something that is, I don't know, it's like a very big concept. So when it comes to the percussion, like I feel like you could like lean in on the effect that it brings to the music in terms of like how much more epic can you make it, like bigger drums and like, more spacious, like they're kind of taking up a bit more room like in the in the theme. That was the only idea that I had when it came to like what I would add. But it's great, it's very good.
Out of interest, Kane, thanks for that. Do you mean generally or in the sort of outro section? Because certainly I wanted to sort of go further with that in the last bit, but maybe you don't want to save it all up for the end. You know what I mean?
I think like When I tend to write music, I'll kind of do it in the sense of like a journey. So like I would imagine like I'm climbing a mountain. So somewhere in around the middle, I think it could have like its
You need to
peak,
get there, yeah.
and then it
Yeah.
kind of like, fades out type thing. So like intensity wise, like like those big toms, like those so it's not quite a kick, but it's like a very low end, but quite like thundery, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
My terminology is out of the window right now, but like that
Great,
kind
great
of
language. Yeah,
yeah,
that
but
works.
like so that kind of like epic feel, like in those like kind of big like those drums that will kind of like you'll feel it in your stomach type thing. Like I think having those like kind of come in around like the middle part of the song, and then like as it goes on and it like finishes, it kind of just evolves and has its presence, but not necessarily is doing anything like new.
Awesome. So
I don't know. I don't know if that's a big waffle or if you kind of
oh
got.
man, no,
No, not at all. No, thank you.
So you're identifying some opportunities for more dynamics, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you'd bring in some drums to try and bring that about. Yeah.
That's a very good way to put it.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that, Kane. If I can say so, Josh. I think
of course.
there's definitely like it's the texture and the feel of this is beautiful, but there's definitely it's kind of on quite a similar level throughout for the most part.
Yeah.
So like you've got room to explore. It can be great to not do that for a while, and then when you do that, it's a really exciting moment. But there's room to try that out. Lovely.
I think
Thanks,
sometimes
Kane.
there's a sort of there's sometimes a temptation to hold something back so that you've got the moment when it comes in, but then sometimes that can lead to an example of that for me is that a bit that I really like is when the kind of almost Rhodesy piano comes in after the first verse, but until that comes in, it feels like it's waiting for it in a way that sort of like needs to get there faster, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Just want to throw in the pool. Adding things definitely is a way to sort of create dynamics, but taking things away can be so powerful as well.
Yeah.
Like some subtractive editing is really really fun. Just see where you can pare it down and sort of bring it into the next verse by taking something out. It can be so effective. Just explore it. I don't know if sorry, I'm just going to share over here one just for who needs to know about this. You can really easily carve holes in an arrangement by muting the regions themselves. So if you select a bunch of drum tracks there, if you hit Control M is the Logic shortcut, and you can just mute those. So you can just very easily just chop some holes in the arrangement just temporarily like that. And in a non-permanent way, and you can bring them back just as easily as you got rid of them. It's Control M, just mutes regions. Probably a lot of you know that.
Nick, I've sometimes muted things when I've recorded, and then the mute has stayed on. When I'm recording another channel, I go, okay, so I'm going to mute the harmonies or something because so I've muted them, recorded, and then the mute button comes on after. Why does that happen?
I noticed in your track, Ruth, that you were using automation. You were using an automation mode called, I think it was Latch you had, or Touch on one of them.
Okay,
and if you have it on those settings, then when you change a setting on the channel, it's going to record the changes you make onto the channel as automation. So if it's doing anything other than read or switched off like that, then changes you make on the channel, whether it's the fader or to the plugins, they're going to be recorded onto the channel. And then when you play it back again, it's going to play back those changes again. So it can feel like your mixer is haunted at that point. But
no, I'll remember to check that. I have automated stuff, so I know what that's for, but I'll remember to check that I haven't accidentally selected that when I have weird like mutes coming on, okay, thanks.
Yeah, and if you do, then just if you hit A or hit the automation button there, then you can get into then it'll show you the things that are automated in that track. So here, the
Yeah.
cutoff is automated here. So I don't know what it looks like on the iPad, I'm afraid, but yeah, you
Comes
can
out at the bottom of the screen, but you can just select all and delete automation, because I've
yeah,
done it by accident a few times actually. Yeah.
sounds like an automation thing. Yeah,
Okay,
cool.
cool.
Okay, because we're limited on time, I'd like to hear from Ben and Harry before we finish. Ben, Wagwan.
Well, hi Josh. I
Hi,
liked it. It was a cool song, man.
thank you.
There was a couple of keys at the end, I think, right? That came in just in the last kind of outro.
A couple
Um,
of keys, did you say?
I think there were keys, synths or something. I couldn't really pick
There
what they
was some
were.
strings.
It was shit. I
Yeah.
think the texture that added was really good and kind of like what Kane was saying with the drums. Maybe implementing them a bit sooner in the track, even if it's
Mhm.
just for like the middle chorus, just really uplift that middle part. I don't
Yeah.
know what
Okay. Thank you.
effects were there on it, but it was really cool.
It was quite a lot of work. It was because it was just MIDI strings, but I
Yeah,
tracked them about 10 times and detuned each one slightly individually. And
fair enough. Yeah, it sounded great. Whatever, yeah, whatever you did was working.
Whoa.
I could kind of
yeah, so
why it was crashing out a little bit now as well, right?
yeah.
'Cause I thought it was going to be
Yeah,
the drums.
they're all bounced because that was a Spitfire plugin, but then each one of them, if you
Yeah,
open up the audio automation, is a bit mental. But
yeah, fair. I was going to ask, your drums seem to all be on a different track. Is there a reason why they're not on like just one or two?
there's so there are two kicks in there, the
Yeah,
kick and the heavy kick. I think one's a TR maybe 808 or 909, I can't remember. And the
yeah,
other one
nice.
was a more sort of rock drum kit. So I was trying to layer the two of those together,
Fair
and I
enough.
think I drop out one of them in the verse. The ghost kick is actually just a side chain channel for the white noise. So there's a little crackle that you can hear sort of subtly at the beginning, and the ghost kick is just ducking that slightly.
Yeah, cool.
I mean, yeah, why are they separate? I think I could have put them together. I
Still good.
sort of slightly getting to grips with like the drum machine designer and how it controls your signal flow. So I kind of preferred to have it separated out a bit.
No, it makes sense. It's just because obviously you had the issues with it kind of crashing. I was thinking about that, but the sound it creates is sick. Like the ambient sound you were saying. Yeah, it's really cool, man.
There's some really
Thanks.
good reasons to spread things across different channels like this, in the sense that it gives you the chance to treat them all differently very easily in the mixer. So even if it's the same drum instrument, if you have it going on different channels, you can put different EQs on different ones. You can put a reverb on just your snare or something like that very easily like that. The other really nice thing you can do is just talking about the subtractive editing again, is you can just select a bunch of them, mute those, and you can just sort of create a more dynamic drum track just by changing up what drum layers are playing at any moment very easily. And just like that can really help to just like create some contrast between two sections of a song, maybe going from a chorus to a verse or vice versa, just like that. Just taking out one layer or bringing one layer in can be enough to sort of just to push the dynamic a little bit. So in that sense, it just makes it really easy. Just like it's just Lego at this point. It's just like just really nice and easy to see in front of you. Yeah. Thanks, Ben. Cool.
Cool.
Harry.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, Josh, I thought it was really sick. It was really good. All I'd say, literally a simple thing, is I just would say that the bass could be a bit more present throughout. I think that was the one thing I was kind of struggled to hear. It could be my headphones.
When you say the bass, Harry, do you mean the bass
this
frequencies or the bass instrument?
the bass to sub bass, the instrument.
Right.
Just because maybe it could be my headphones, but I couldn't really hear it, and I felt like it was the one kind of layer because you've built a really nice texture with all the ambient channels that you've used and the instrumentation and the use of delay and reverb and whatnot. But I just think the bass would just give it that bottom level that would just ground the whole thing. and glue it all together. That's all I had to say really. That's a pretty simple thing I had to say, but yeah.
Lovely.
I have wondered whether it needs more of a bass track to it, in that sub bass is not doing anything very interesting.
I wrote
It's
down
just
that
following
it
the
could
roots
come
of
in the middle eight. You know where you sing "So Go Ahead"? That was the point when I felt that it needed like a bass to come in there. Just that point. That was
Yeah, okay.
like when you got to that, I'm like, oh, I needed to hear like a stronger sort of bass sound there in that bit, and from then sort of onwards. But yeah, I basically wrote the same thing. For me, the beginning was fine, but when you reach there and the bass didn't come under to sort of support it and also define the sections of the song more, that there was a change there and stuff. It was like I really missed it. I mean, I don't know much about producing and stuff, but I wanted to hear it coming in that part.
Sure.
I did. I wanted to hear a sort of bass coming. And then the first person that said like get epic at the end, it needs to be more epic. It does. It's lovely. It's got to go epic. It has.
Could I say one more thing? Is
Yeah.
that okay?
Yeah.
I'd say if you do choose to put in like a more like less of a sub bass than just a normal bass, I'd say like a synth bass would go if you put like a high sustain, like relatively like a sloped attack, so it's not like instant, it's not like clicky at all. But that could be really nice, and just like keeping the flow and just also having that like extra layer there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Retro
and maybe
thing.
something with a bit more movement than what's currently there.
Yeah, I think that would be that'd just complement the track as a whole, I think.
Let's just have a little listen
Cool,
to the bass
thanks.
by itself so we can see what it's doing. Are we hearing that?
Yeah, it's quite subby.
It's subtle, but yeah, there's a lot of sub to it.
Wow, that is really low, isn't it?
But I think that illustrates the point, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if so like the trouble with those really smooth sine wave basses that are low like that, like if you've got some great headphones, some great speakers, they're going to sound really juicy, so juicy. But as soon as you listen to them on some sort of like basic AirPods or on your phone speaker or on your laptop, it's going to completely disappear because they just can't reproduce those frequencies. So I mean, like ways you could deal with that in this case is to create a bit more texture to it, to make it more present. So I'll just sort of demonstrate this on here. So
Is there a higher
let's bring the mastering back on.
life? What am I?
So with this synth here, if we bring the cutoff up, then it's going to bring some of those higher frequencies back in.
So what am I? So what if I gave up? Is there a higher life? So what am I? So what am I made of?
I'm kind of hearing it could go in a now that you've pulled the cutoff up a bit, could go in that sort of slight rolling 80s way. Do you know what I mean? Where it's rather than it being at the moment it's just single notes. You could start off like that and then maybe transition to being a bit sort of rolling, or I don't know if that's maybe has the potential to turn into cheese if you're not careful, but
I don't know. I think cheese with intent, is okay. It's like most of the cheesy music is really fun music is the thing. but just on a purely technical mixing level, yeah, that sub bass is too sine wavy to really cut through on anything but large speakers and very good headphones. So like a simple way of dealing with that is just to bring up the cutoff so you've got more texture to the sound. If you didn't want to do that, another way you could approach it would be to add some distortion to it, which would create some extra harmonics to it. So,
I like that, yeah.
And then you can use the tone to sort of create the amount of like nastiness that you want in there.
So what if I fall? What if
But that's two ways of bringing some more sort of texture into a bass sound that might be a bit subby. Yeah, lovely. Okay, cool. It's just one thing I'm going to throw at this before we finish up. Oh, do I have time? Do I have time? Not to go into full detail. I think what I was going to demonstrate might have to happen in another day. But what I would like to sort of leave you with in terms of just like exploring low end. It's really hard to judge low end. It's really hard. It's the hardest thing. It's speakers and headphones are not very good at reproducing it. If your room is like a normal room, then different parts of your room will give you different parts of the bass more strongly than others. It's tricky. To get the idea of the overall balance of these things, references is the key. Listening to records. Listen to records that you would like your song to be played next to. If you've got a well-produced record, that will always help to guide you with how much low end, how much sparkle your track should have. It also will help you sort of guide you with the overall levels of everything as well. For me, there's probably things that are closer, but I'm hearing a little bit of Massive Attack Teardrop in this a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you play that from Spotify and go between your track and that will give you a really good impression of where, like, you might have a bit too much of one thing and a bit too little of another. That's a really regular go-to for me. Another time on another session like this, I'd show how I work with references in Logic. Because of course, if you've got mastering plugins on your output chain, and you put your reference track through the mastering chain, then it gets mastered and it becomes a bad reference. So just remember to listen to it from Spotify separately to Logic while you're doing that. But like,
Nick, is that what you use Match EQ for? Can you use it for that as well?
Well, yeah, Match EQ can sort of automate that process for you a little bit. Yeah, in a certain way. Yeah. It can be a bit fiddly and it can over-process things a little bit, but it can serve that purpose. And effectively, what I'm inviting you to do is to do Match EQ on your own, I suppose. Once you understand well enough how EQs affect sound, be able to analyze a commercial recording compared to your own and think, oh, there's nowhere near as much bass in mine as there is in this track that's been released. Okay, I'll turn up my bass. I'll EQ my bass. That's a really great skill to practice. So I'd recommend doing that at every turn. But yeah, folks, we're at 9 o'clock, so I'm gonna wrap this up. But you're all still here, which is amazing. And you all came at all, which is like I feel really like flattered and delighted. I hope it's been helpful. I think it's been nice to, like, you've all made such amazing observations about each other's tracks. This is the first time that I've run a session like this. I would love to get some feedback from you folks about what we could do in future to improve it, the way that we run it, and what and also like things that you would really like to have a session dedicated to, perhaps, would be really cool. Because I think, like, if I'm running these in the future, and I will be doing, to have like a specific kind of aim for these is going to be really helpful, so we can go into a bit more depth of certain things. But yeah. So do you think you'd be up for coming to another one of these sometime if we have another good topic to look at?
Yeah,
got some love?
Definitely, yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
That's I'm delighted. Okay, well, I'm thinking of running something in a couple of weeks' time. I've got your emails in a mailing list cheekily, and I'll I'll let you know about that. But probably 2 weeks from now is when it will happen. If you want to suggest any topics, then you've got my email. Just drop me a line and let me know. At some point, I'm sort of thinking about starting to run some sort of some paid programs of these kinds of things where I go into a bit more depth with this sort of thing. But right now, absolutely, I'm just really keen to explore this, and I'm really so grateful to you all for coming along and helping me do this. And it's yeah. I'm just gonna mention I'm also starting to do some one-to-one kind of like tuition tutorial stuff at the moment. So if that's of any interest to any of you, like I've identified that there's quite a few people who might have just like come out of a course or are working through a course, and like just to have a little bit of extra support on their mixes at that point can be really helpful for people. So just to go into a bit more detail, you know, I'm really open to a conversation about that if that's interesting to you. Yeah, but yeah, the very last thing I'm going to mention, which is super cheeky, today I set up a little coffee page. Basically, it's an easy way to make a little donation to a humble record producer who serves you. So you can find it at the bottom on my homepage on my website, nicktrepka.com. So if you value today and you fancy throwing a few quid my way, then I won't sniff at that. But don't feel obliged at all. Really, I'm just really glad that you're all here. Thank you very much. So yeah, super. All right. Any last words before we sign off?
Thank you. Thanks for arranging all of this. It was great.
My pleasure. Thanks for
Yeah,
coming.
for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And,
Thanks, Nick.
folks,
Did you say we had a chat, Nick?
say again?
Did you say there was a chat for us or something?
We can have a chat.
No, for all the group.
Oh, there was in this session here.
Oh, okay. I didn't. All right.
Well, just if I scope this while I've got you here, if I scope this out, if I was to set up like a Facebook group for us to like share ideas, would that be interesting to you?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I'd have to get Facebook, but yeah.
Yeah, me too. Part of the problem.
That is an issue. Everyone's leaving Facebook at the moment, but
Could do WhatsApp.
Yeah, okay.
WhatsApp would be pretty good.
Oh, sure.
That's always easy.
Yeah, WhatsApp's better.
All right, cool, fine. Well, maybe if you could all email me with your numbers so I can get you on WhatsApp, and let's make a little family. Be a nice thing. Because the more I'm learning about building my business right now is that the people around us is everything. The connections we have, how we can help each other and just connect is vital. So if we can find a way to boost that, that's cool. So yeah. Anyway, I'll be in touch and hopefully see you in a couple of weeks' time if you're up for that. Send me some ideas, and thanks again.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you very much.
All right.
This was great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Nice to meet you, everyone.
Thanks, Nick.
Cheers, all.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
What a lovely bunch.